red tape, economy, and innovation. The existence of different municipal, provincial, and federal standards and requirements causes businesses to lose valuable time and money. Area emissions, environment assessment, business operating hours are just a few of the areas in which inconsistent standards drive up the cost of doing business. How would your party work with other levels of government to eliminate excessive red tape for Ontario businesses?
Thank you. Well, we've worked very closely with Ontario businesses to look at reducing the regulatory burdens and how we can continue to keep businesses competitive. So with our tax package and with our Open for Business Act, we saw a reduction of 17.2%, which is about 80,000 regulatory burdens. Now, I mentioned this earlier. We do need to take a cautious, prudent approach when we talk about cutting regulatory burdens, because we cannot sacrifice the health and safety and the environment. I mean, we're dealing with an issue here in Lambton County that sees clean harbors, and we're looking at environmental standards. If we take, a slash and burn approach to regulation, then we end up seeing what we saw with Walkerton, with the tainted meat, when we lose inspectors and we lose the regulation that protects consumers. So that needs to be made when we're talking about this in our discussions.
Well, I said before, there's over 500,000 regulations in Ontario. Nobody even knows it. The book's so thick. Anyway, British Columbia went through this. They reduced their regulations by over a third. They didn't fall off the coast and into the Pacific. It's costing a business $11 billion a year. I'm not talking about slash and burn every regulation, but we need to take a look at this. And I understand, I know what they did to try and reduce these. We've seen it in agriculture. If there was 3 questions on a form and you took those off, that was a reduction of 3 regulations. So that's a lot of hooey.
I know firsthand what it is to be involved with a company that actually was incorporated in Quebec, operates in Northern Ontario, and we have to work across the different boundaries, and it's quite a challenge. We deal with the different ministry, Minister of Environment, Minister of Natural Resources, Minister of Labor, and I think it would help if we actually had cross-trained some of those ministry officials, so we wouldn't have to deal with all of them, make them aware of everything else. We have so many other regulations here that the room is almost full of opportunities.
Thank you.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Too much red tape. Government is the most inefficient way of planning anything. It's only free market economics and people who can make quick decisions to reflect the market. Government cannot do that. The more government we have, the less prosperity we're going to have. I mean, people, we've painted ourselves into a corner. The global economy is turning backwards, and we have to get on board and embrace wealth generation, and that's not through more government.
We need regulations to ensure the health and safety of our workers. We need regulations to ensure that we have a healthy population here, especially where industry does persist and we get great jobs out of it. Without regulations, certainly we would, we would be at greater risk. Now that said, there are far too many regulations in place for a number of sectors, including agriculture. Agriculture can't compete with crops that are being dumped in there. And one of the things that we're going to focus on is eliminating some of that red tape so that local farmers have access to our own markets.